Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to the Caribbean. Welcome Trinidad and Tobago and the wider world. This is 5.8G Alive, brought to you by Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus. And with me, as usual.
Yes, good evening all. And welcome again. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. Nice having you with us.
Great. And listen, we are in the month of March. And the month of March is designated as honoring and celebrating women. And I think today, 8th of March,
yes, today Wednesday,
International Women's Day. And everybody watches Connections 50 Plus. We see two women. Okay, so we celebrating today, even though the 5.8G is very inclusive and our men are honored whenever they are honored, whenever they celebration.
Happy International Women's Day, and of course the month. So have a great month.
Yes, yes. And Jennifer, we have been looking at, you look at us and you look at the work that Connections 50 Plus has done, and I think we are an example of what our generation, the advancement of women in our generation, what it represents, to the extent that we would have been able largely to pursue our dreams professionally, culturally, and literally do what we like in many ways. Do you feel that you have had that privilege of being able to live the life that you could have?
Definitely. I would say definitely. I am. Each stage and my outlook of life is really to be happy and move forward. And I have always been very ambitious in terms of what I want to achieve. So I'm a goal setter and a go-getter. Let me put it that way. So I would say, yes, I am happy with where I'm at this stage. And I have been, and not without challenges, but what I saw the challenges move me forward. It took me to where I wanted to be. So I would say my answers are definite yes.
Yeah.
I'm where I want to be.
Yes, yes. I have been in the fortunate position, and I can honestly say that every goal that I've set for myself, I have been able to achieve with the efforts. I got the results from the effort that I put in. And the effort required jumping around, over, through, under, and dealing with obstacles. But we grew up in an environment where you were allowed, and it was not strange to see women pioneering and going into fields and doing things because they wanted to. And the generation before us couldn't do that. They could not do that.
That's great. And we're celebrating International Women's Day. And I came out of an industry that is male dominated. And it is easy as a woman to sit back and say, you know what? I can't get to the top there. only men. You know, you look back and the history, I came out of the insurance industry. And when you look at that history, it was only men and only male managers right through at the top in sales. They always men. So my ambition was also to be a manager. Why not? Yes, there were very few. I think at that time in my company, there was only one ahead of me. And so I didn't let that deter me. I saw that what I had to do is understand, not hate, not get worked up, understand though that I may have to do it differently. And what I saw as my advantage is that they don't know what I was going to do because I am not following the path as a male. I had to create my own strategies as a female, how I want to be. Knowing, of course, you have the basics that you have to cover, but the other aspect to strategize to get there without drawing too much attention to yourself. So it's not that I want to be like the male, I want to be like the men. No, I want to be me, but I have to be careful that I didn't draw too much attention to my ambition wanting to be in the arena. You know? So I say there's room for the woman, but we have to understand how to get there and understand too in terms of what is. I didn't see things as challenges. I just see it as a way, something we have to do to get what we want to reach our goals.
Sometimes,
so I just wanted to mention that.
yeah.
As you asked that question, so that got me where I wanted to be in my career.
I think sometimes when the discussion on women's issues arise and there's a discussion about the challenges that women face in the professional world and in whatever field of endeavor, except homemaking.
Yeah.
You could almost get the idea that men have no challenges and that men were just there. And I think what we forget is that the industrialized world started in the 19th century, in the 1800s. And even before that, when it was farming or whatever it is, women for multiple centuries just had to stay home and cook, and the man keep the house, and the man provided everything. And poor soul, he come home dead tired, drop down to go back again. That's the dawn. And it is after the 70s with the women's rights, but first the introduction of the contraceptive pill that helped us to control our reproduction and reproductive cycles. And with that came possibilities to do things outside of home, possibilities to educate, stay in school longer, possibilities to contribute to the home income because now you're better educated and you could go out there. And I think it's almost as we got more educated and had more control over size of family and the kinds of responsibilities, and everybody was living longer and you had more money to take care of them, we just kept, when we hit one milestone, why not go for the other? And why not go for the other? Till the phrase was, you can do anything that you want to do and you can get there. And Jennifer, sometimes I look at the issue. Right now, our theme is gender equality and equity and fairness. And we were talking about this, and I think, and everybody knows I have a balanced bias to the guys, all right? So I'll go and defend my brothers. I'll go and defend them, all right? I'm feeling sorry for them. I think sometimes what has happened is we had the change in status. The new toy, the new shiny thing was available to us. And men continued doing what they were doing. And nobody told them anything had changed. So they continued running corporations, running the world. They were in charge. And they saw one of us come in, then they saw two, and it wasn't a big deal. Then the two became five, and the two became eight, and all of a sudden everywhere they turned, there was a woman competing with them. But
Yeah, because with that also, Terri-Ann, came the women movement, where women were encouraged, and throughout the world. I mean, we are talking here, in Trinidad. I mean, our situation will be different, but internationally,
it's much the same. It's much the same.
Yeah, we had that movement pushing women forward and looking for, equality. So we had a lot of backing, a lot of support to push us forward. And our focus was on us. The focus was on women. And we did ignore the men. The thing was, leave them right there. We pushing.
Oh, they were there. They were in charge. So it wasn't to leave them anywhere. They were in charge. And
well, when I say leave them there, our focus wasn't on them. Our focus was on us. How do we get into the workplace? What can we do different? How can we be empowered? So it was more about us. So in terms of leaving them there, meaning that, well, let me say it this way, not giving them the kind of support they're accustomed getting. Challenging them a bit.
I don't subscribe to that view. I think the workplace has X shape and X structure. And while we were creeping up on the lower levels, it was not an issue because we came into the workplace and it was essentially administrative. It was support. And who were you supporting? A man. But as you began to get more experience, women decided, I also want to go there. Now, if there are 15 positions there, and those 15 positions are occupied by a man, the only way you could get there is to displace a man, Nobody made put an extra seat around the table for you. So that's when we came into direct competition, and you had the crashes occurring in the board.
Because the men close round. I mean,
as they should. As they should. Because
they had to protect their turf,
As they should. I remember a story in a boardroom, and I believe sometimes women don't look at the whole field. They take blinkered look at things. And I remember being told in a boardroom once, this is the problem with having you women in boardrooms. You have a husband who earns at the same level that you do. So your household income is double mine because your salary is near to mine, and I have a housewife at home and I have children to educate. And that turned the light on for me. And if I was a man with a wife taking care of my home, and there's a woman coming to challenge my position, who had a husband who could very well mind her, and she chose to be fast and come in the workplace. Yes, you all don't put no notes and no. Don't put no notes. Don't put notes yet. That is an adversary. She's threatening my livelihood and my life happiness. And I think it's set up. I think one of the main issues is that the women's movement evolved to help us adjust to realities of economic and social mobility, but
Mhm.
there was no men's movement to help the men to adjust to the reality of a woman coming into what was their realm. And that is like, I suppose they were the Arawaks and Caribs, and we were Christopher Columbus saying we discovered the West Indies when it existed before.
It is a whole, I mean, it was completely new for us as women. And as I said, we were seeing too, in the workplace, we became, as I say, aggressive, or so I like to say assertive. And it did have us thinking, okay, we can reach for the stars. We can do it. And I know there's a popular saying, the moment to break the glass ceiling and all these sayings that they have. But Terri-Ann, and that is still happening, of course, in the workplace. It's still happening, I think, more now than even before, because a lot more women are out there. You have much more women, very educated, you know, and could compete with
And
their
the
male
men
counterparts.
and the men
Yeah.
reinforce that ceiling, so it is no longer glass. It is reinforced clear plexi that can't break,
Yeah.
because they realize we
Mhm.
are interlopers. We are trying to break into their area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's a reality out there. And so I would say there have been a real breakthrough with the organization, with the awareness of what is happening with the women moving forward. But Terri-Ann, I want to change a bit from the what's happening in the workplace to chat about within our homes. You know, I was brought up at a home with 6 girls and 2 boys. And I experienced the difference with how the our parents brought up the women as well, girls as against the boys. And I wonder, when we speak now about women and equality and equity, I am wondering how much of the decision making or the behaviors we have now, and I'm talking outside the workplace, which we just explained that aspect and the dynamics of the workplace. I am wondering whether the dynamics of the home between the daughters and the sons have, well, say have or having, I should use having an influence on the behavior now in terms of relationships and acceptance, and whether that equality that we talk about could be applied in a scenario based on our the behaviors, the attitudes, what we see now between the sons and daughters. And I don't know if I've explained myself there in terms of thinking there's an effect, there's some sort of
There is
effect.
definitely an effect. And we are now, I'll go to the end and then come back to the beginning, how I see it. We are
Okay.
now the grandparents. We
Yeah.
we women who had that wonderful time being all that we can be and doing whatever we want. We now have adult sons and daughters who grew up looking at us do everything that we wanted to do, and we subconsciously, while our mothers and fathers pushed us daughters to do whatever we want, nothing happened to the boys because they were boys. And we raise our sons and daughters with that same context. Daughters, push, you can do this, because women's movement and everything. And the boy will go along, he will do what he wants to go do, whatever it is. And now, as grandparents, we have our own difficulties in our relationships, because I think for many of us, whereas before you had the breadwinner and you had the homemaker who is us branched out and became homemaker and breadwinner, and you had Mr. Breadwinner continue being breadwinner. The homemaker function was never divided. So we had to expand our capacity to do the career and the homemaking. And I think for many of us, we had to bring in help to manage that home and raise those children. And I think we now, as grandparents, and also because we had to do that, we learned juggling in a different kind of way. Because we didn't have the homemaker helping our mothers. So we still had chores and do the homework and go to school and come home and help. So we had to do everything. But our children, especially our daughters, growing up with our help, our person who helped us make our home, our children, sons and daughters, didn't have as much chores and, and responsibilities that we may have had. And I think that some of them are getting a shock in terms of struggling to meet the economic realities. So we are finding that girls are much more ambitious than the boys. And we've seen it in everything. And the boys rock back and they're happy because mommy and daddy, they're to take care of them, and the girls are going along. But I think, Jennifer, the clapback is it falling into granny's lap. What's going on there falling into granny's lap? Because all the overspill of financing, housing, childcare, grandchildren, everything falling into granny's lap.
So I wonder, when I looked at it, so using my situation, of course, my mom being a homemaker and her ambition for us educate and then the girls, and you go out and you work hard and you get married, and the full gambit. But I recall we actually had to learn now they're using the term multitask. All right? So you're multitasking. The boys didn't have to learn that. Actually, we were, I would say, taught, because it after time it came natural to us. We actually took care of our brothers. We didn't have certain chores they didn't have to do.
Historically,
we did it.
Take care
and we did it with love. It wasn't a problem at all.
No,
everything we did with love for them. We took care of them. So okay. And then we moved on and we got married. And this is where a difference came in. We went out to work.
We took care of them while we studied. So we got extra duties and while we built careers.
Yeah. So, but remember the movement. So as women, we went out there and we worked and we had our ambition and we had our goals. It was very difficult to multitask. So our children now, who are adults, we really didn't do the same because we couldn't. We were working hard.
We got help. What did we hired help. We didn't give the children.
It was completely different. But Terri-Ann, I must say this, and I have daughters, I don't have sons. And I have my nephews. So I looked at those who had sons, and you have 2 sons. What I observed is that while we continue pushing the women and pushing our daughters educate and empower them, and they're watching us who setting that example. Somewhere I think we dropped, if I may say, dropped the ball when it came to the boys. We didn't feel that we had to empower them in any way, or have them. It didn't occur to us, I must say, it didn't occur to me. And observing what's happening out there, I don't think it occurred to many of us women for the boys to understand there's a change in this dynamics now. What they grew up seeing with their fathers and their mothers, or their grandparents, I should say, it's a completely different thing now. And here we are at this stage in our lives, no longer, most of us reached nearing, we 50 plus. So our children are adults, and we watching them really having a challenge in the workplace. The women who we pushed, we educated them, most of them in positions, whether they have a degree or not, but they're in much better position. They're working. Let me just start. They're working, right? And they have now to come home. Because of the economic situation, may not be able to afford help. So they're juggling in the workplace, still being ambitious, want to reach further, and taking care of the children and pushing them again education. Terri-Ann, the men, they are lost. They are lost. They don't know what to do, and it creating havoc, and from what I'm seeing in relationships, because the girls know to push and be ambitious, and they don't, the type of support they are looking to get, which they saw their mothers receive maybe in some way, is not happening. And I don't have the answer. I just sharing what I am observing as a result of us pushing a lot. And I'm not saying don't push, don't get me wrong. I'm all about empowering women. I would love to know what is the answer to the scenarios now. And as you said, it's tiring for us grandparents now, because we are looking and say, oh gosh, we who have them push, they are now whatever in their job, they are now middle managers, supervisors, they're busy. We're feeling bad about that, because we need to step in and help take care of the children and handle money because of the economic situation. And the always saying for those of us, those who have sons, is, poor boys, how they can't manage. You know, you have sons, Terri-Ann, you may more be able to understand that side of it, how the boys making out with these empowered women.
I'll tell you the challenge that my sons will have. My sons will not have a problem with an empowered wife or partner. They will not, because they know they have a good life. They have loving parents, and both parents, they grew up knowing that they were loved, they were cared for, and they were prioritized, and they've enjoyed a great life. Jennifer, the difference is in the little word, the sacrifice. Now, we were our mothers and fathers' home assistants, because when we was studying, we had chores. We had to wash the wares, clean the kitchen, and when we were growing up, it was divided. So the three sisters, one was cleaning, one was washing, one was cooking.
That was it.
So it was
a lot of us to divide the chores
and kitchen duties. So we were our mother's maids or domestic assistants. And then after you do your domestic assistants work, you went and do schoolwork. Now, I don't know what my brother was doing when we were washing and cleaning. I mean, he might have been in the yard picking up grass or paper, but we didn't have a big yard. So it couldn't be a lot. So they
were let off the hook.
Well, it was, I don't know if it's a hook or it is just how tradition went. We were learning how to keep a house because that, how to keep a home because that was the role of women. This school business and career business was an added feature. It
Yeah,
wasn't the core, it was an added feature. The having grown up now and become an adult and a professional, I realized that for me to do what I knew my role was as a woman to provide the home, I needed help. The automatic choice of help was not husband. I had to get another woman to help me because my husband continued doing what he meant to. I had two roles. I had homemaker and I had career. So I had to bring in another woman to help me, my
yeah,
housekeeper. My children were not my domestic assistants. Like I was my mother's, me and my sisters were my
yeah.
mother's domestic assistants. So the problem I see my sons will face is that they have grown up with the benefit of my domestic assistant. So my domestic assistant who helped me organize the house is doing a lot of the chores that I did for my mother, but my sons ain't doing for me because I have a domestic assistant. So they're very respectful, they're very hardworking, they they work, they will be good independent providers. But G's and ages, when they go in a house with a woman and she can't afford a domestic assistant, they could feed themselves, they could wash their clothes, they could clean their rooms, but I don't think that I have instilled in them a sense that domestic management is part of their responsibility because they saw me hire somebody to do it. And their dad had nothing to do with that. Although he's a
And
damn good
I am,
housekeeper. So I think
I
that's
could
the
see that because they would be at where most of the young couples, the wives who complaining now that their husbands, of course, they know about going out and having a good time. And if they don't go out, they're home, stretched out, watching television and things because they don't know about getting up and putting clothes in the washing machine or cleaning up. That they don't know about that. They weren't brought up like that. And as you said, they're watching the woman because remember, the younger ones who are the professional now, the younger wives or partners, they just can't do it all again because the demand of the demand of the job is something else. I was speaking with
Jennifer, we didn't let them practice. We didn't let them practice. We
yeah,
let
we
them
didn't let them
focus on the
practice, but
books.
the problem with I was speaking to a young one in my neighborhood and I'm chatting and she has two young children and she has to juggle. She's a professional moving up. The husband is a professional. The things we like, what they will say, oh, a nice couple. And she's telling me she's just falling apart. And I am saying, then why don't you get help? Because it's not about the money in her situation. And she's saying, the help to do what? By the time she pick up the children and she drop them for lessons, the swimming and the whatever, the thing. And she gets home, is no, what is the help? The help after work nights. You understand?
No, she have to leave the help home
So
in the day.
so she said she just it just she tried it and it just not working out for her. And right now she feels she could just stay home. So we
Or bring
sharing
in
this
drama.
because I asked the question, if we are being if we face the reality, Terri-Ann, of the situation, um about what our children, the adults going through now, even those who in the 50s is still working, we really may have to relook at how we are, what examples, I wouldn't even say example again because we already said that example.
That's the example stage.
How can we step in and help? Can we guide? And Terri-Ann, you have the sons. I'm sorry, I think we have to focus now. We finish with the women. We empower them. I think they're good. They understand what they have to do. They're willing to work hard and they're doing it. But to get that balance, the balancing of life now, because some men find these women too strong and they want to take over and the this and the that. We may have to look, and I'm saying we may have to, I'm not advising, I'm just saying, to see if we could help the men deal with the reality of situation now. Even our who we have home, our husbands, the grandfathers, since they have time on their hands now, the grandfathers have to step in and do some pick up and drop to help their sons. And in doing that, showing them now, listen, boy, this is what you have to do now, you have to help out. Help out in some way, either the pick up and the drop or the babysitting duties. So you don't necessarily have to, and I want to tease someone here, and if they're listening, they will know. They don't have to just lie down on the couch and watch all the football or whatever sports and don't get up to help do anything because that's what they know. So they may have to take up some responsibility and help out with the woman. Sorry, the woman, that's where we are now. So I just want to put in a plug in some way.
I would say,
as grandparents, we have to do something. We need to do something.
I would be honest, and I would say that when my sons are concerned, they have, as I said, they will not have a problem with an empowered partner who is pushing education, pushing career, and trying to achieve her dreams, whatever those dreams are. They will not have a mindset of, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that. And they have an understanding that men have a responsibility in the home because their father has provided a great role model of what a provider is, what a disciplinarian is, and he cleans house better than I could clean a house. And they literally see him washing the dishes and stuff like that. However, because in fulfilling my role as homemaker, I never required my husband or my sons to do any of that.
To do the chores.
Help. So I really don't know if my sons see that their participation in homemaking as something they have to do as opposed to something they could do. But I know that they understand how to sit with a woman who has her own mind, who can make very clear to them, this is how I need you to participate. I don't use the word help in my house. When they have to do stuff for me, you're not helping me. You are participating. And I think they will be responsive to a conversation with a partner who says, listen, let us rearrange how we're managing the task in this house because we can hire no help like your mother and father had help. So we have to do everything. And I think my sons will be amenable at the start. She may have to be a bit firm and stern and say, take off that TV, it ain't going on until the ware's finished or the food finished cooking. They can cook, they can clean, they can wash. So capacity is not the issue. but just the habit of prioritizing homemaking and being it being a part of your responsibility. I think for us, but now there are challenges for daughters and there are challenges for sons. I think because we are the generation, both men and women, who grew up being our parents' domestic assistants, I think we have the credibility to now sit with our children and their partners and have conversations with them about how life was organized before, after, and show them how to talk about it. And I really do think after they have an understanding that this is a partnership, you're not here to help because it's our children and our house. And that our children is important, our children and our house. That the discussion about how we both contribute is something that the young men of today will respond to. But we have to teach our daughters how to lead those sons into that conversation, because I really do believe the young men of today are not as bad as our generation of men and our fathers. I think they understand this is a, if you look at a lot of young men, we're not talking about the bad ones, but most young men, they participate, where you have balanced relations, they participate in the lives of their children way more than my father participated in raising me.
I like that idea, Terri-Ann. Actually, when you said, I think we should remove that would help. Is really, and help means that you're doing a favor.
Yeah.
And you're quite correct in that. It's not a favor. And so you remove help. The other thing that you pointed out, you see, taking responsibility, be willing to take responsibility, is also very important in terms of an acceptance. I believe, and I hear you when you said the young men move differently as against our father, how most of, I wouldn't say most of the, in our age group, our husbands would have moved, or our grandfathers. Because I think they are within a time when they more accept the woman in the workplace in positions.
They were next to them in
us
school.
as a mother.
They were next to them in school. Yeah.
Yeah. So they noticed, they saw that. So I don't think they have that issue, but they may have had the issue of being a bit, what we would say, spoiled, because they weren't required.
Spoiled.
And I'm saying the boys, but in terms of the girls too, a lot of them weren't required.
You had
to do chores, you know.
No, because
we gave them the time to study. We allowed them a lot of time, and we took a lot. Well, if we were not, we either hired help if we could have afforded it, or if we didn't, we took a lot of the responsibility on us to make sure we clean the room. We did a lot of things, and I know our friends who are still up to this day do it. They would go and get the clothes from their, the daughters or son or whoever, and bring it and wash and clear up and drop it back. So I know that's happening because we said, okay, we send them out there, we empower them, we want them to be like that. And we realize, hey boy, this stressed out. So we're going to help. So it is, I think it's a reality now. What do we do?
And Jennifer, that is why now as granny, we have to babysit. We have them financially.
Yeah.
When they're facing housing and we looking to say, I have my house myself, they're coming back. Because we have facilitated and enabled them, and we didn't make the demands on them that our parents made on us to be responsible in the domestic context. We didn't make those demands.
So
now it's our responsibility.
So we broke down that broad term of equality and equity. I really figured honestly,
Granny
women
work.
have done fantastic. I know in some areas there's still a lot more, but I think we need to take to step back a bit now. Step back a bit and say, hey, let's see how we could get a little more balance now that they're out there, that they reach, that they have broken the glass ceiling. What about these men now? How can we, because there is a situation, Terri-Ann, with a lot of the young, and it is being said out there, I think it is a reality, a lot of the young professional women, adult professional women, it's a problem with relationships. You know, and they too, it could be that you hear the complaint that they may be too strong, they're too independent financially, they can take care of themselves. So I would say we need to watch that too.
Jennifer,
see how we can help.
I'm telling you from the other side, from the boys' side, those women have a shock coming because the young men just watching them and saying, next. They are not taking that attitude. They're not taking it.
Yeah, so that's why I say
the sons were
it is a problem.
So a lot of those, you see the women who went shooting and thought that they name man and they like man, meaning that I can do what you can do and you can't tell me nothing. All of them are going to have a problem because the men who have been raised by us understand I have choice too. And I know what I want in a mate.
As we go down.
Yeah, and they know what they want in a mate. And what they want in a mate is someone to take care of their homes, because we didn't tell them, like we told our daughters, that you have to split your role. You have career and household. They don't have that responsibility. So as far as they're concerned, when I'm looking for a mate, I'm not looking for a person who I'm competing with in work. I'm looking for a person at home. When I go home, I don't want to see my work colleague. And they will choose someone who is...
So Terri-Ann, it's sounding like we reversing that. They're coming back around.
We're coming back around.
We're coming back around to our time.
Yes, and a lot, but no, I don't think we will come down exactly to our time, because again, because of the financial situations, and because a lot of young men are very concerned about what is going on with their children. Listen, people might, you might look and say, yes, there are a lot of women in schools and whatever it is, but the president of the National Parent Teachers Association is a man right now. And there is a group of fathers, men, who are interested in being a part of their children's lives. And I think they and our daughters and our sons with their partners will hit a wall. Hopefully it will be each other, one being too aggressive, one being too passive. They'll realize, listen, we have children and this thing needs to work differently. And they'll have a conversation. I think our role as grandparents and parents in that context, while we're helping out with the baby, because they'll be living under our roof because they can't afford to go nowhere, they're living by us. We have to not do like our parents did and stay out of our business. We may have to be a bit more proactive when we see them having conversations that are not very constructive. We have to lead them in conversation. My parents never sat down with me and my husband and say, look, this is, let me help you with your problems. I think we have to get in there and help
Yes.
them to have the conversation. They'll come up with their own solution, but I think we have to shape that. And that's where the 5.8G granny and granddad will have a very different role. And it will be to truly bring equity to the partnership, because then they will both have careers, but they will both be responsible for the home. And
so you'll have the equality and equity then.
Yes, we'll approach equality. I am kind of nervous about equality. Equality is a kind of half thing. If you work
but
at
you're not
home,
meaning
you do the housework.
it's no half. Yeah, it's not that you're dividing chores half or you do this and I do that.
Fairness.
But you said it earlier, it's working in as a partnership.
Yeah.
And that is what you're building, and with respect, you know.
Exactly. And I think that is it is respecting, and because I think they talk more and they understand each other's dreams, and they can negotiate with each other. And I really believe that sometimes our generation, our parents, they stayed out of our business, or they came too much into the business. It wasn't reasonable. And I think we have to learn to be guides and coaches to them. And after we do that, step away and let them come up with a new model for how they will live.
Yeah. And be careful how we judge based on our standards and what, you know, how we, in terms of this is what we did, this is how we did it. But to recognize that it's a different time, and it will help us, as you say, us as the grandparents, us as the elders, to it might give us a little more freedom.
Yeah, because then they will take the children back.
And give us a little more freedom to have our own time and our own space.
They will realize you're grown now. You can't take over everything like you did before. Oh gosh, no, but it's a great time. I think, and I think I am very happy that I have been able to live through the 3 generations of understanding how my parents and grandparents lived, and there was a difference there. Growing up myself and being the person that I am, and now I can see adult children managing relationships and taking the wisdom of all of that and applying it. So I think I am optimistic about the future of male-female relationships with the younger generations. I think our youths in their 20s and early 30s understand it, and they will not make our mistakes. I don't think they will make all of our mistakes.
Yeah. I'm blessed, as I said. I see it from, because I have been lived with my grandmother. I saw my grandmother live with us. So, and then my mother and my daughters. So I am seeing the definite positive, a lot of positives in terms of that legacy that has been passed on. And we keep learning from it. We definitely has learned a lot, and to see what's happening today with women, we have really reached, we traveled far. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
There's a little displacement, a little bumpiness in the road, but I think it's working out. So happy International Women's Day and happy International Women's Month. Let's continue being in tune. Okay. Okay. Jennifer, we did something really interesting this week. What did we do?
Yes, and we talk empowerment early on. We felt that, you know what? Let us have what you call like a focus group invite a few of our followers to come and chat and tell us, how they feel about our show, this show 5.8G Alive, and let's discuss moving forward. But Terri-Ann, it was great. It was fantastic. We got some really, really great feedback and say special thanks. And, it, I feel very, Terri-Ann, I think we're where we want to be. I would say so. I was very happy to listen to all the positive, feedback we got. But before I go into that, one aspect of it, and I must say this, for those of you all who watch us on YouTube, and as I said, we're building our YouTube because Facebook changed a bit, and we have found it so much easier for people to click that link. You just click the link. So no longer saying, well, I'm not on Facebook, or, you just click the link. But guess what? We were told that when we say subscribe, our followers believe subscribe, and let me tell you, quite rightly so, they believe that subscribe meant you have to pay money. Now, before in the earlys, when you have to subscribe to something, you have to pay some money. When we ask you to subscribe and click that subscribe button on YouTube, you don't have to pay any money. You just click that link. So I want you all to do that right now. Just click that link, and then that's it. What that does for us is that every week you will get that notice. So you don't have to wait on us. Some of you all may call and say, you didn't send the link. When you click that subscribe button,
and the notification bell, and the notification bell.
Yeah, and the notification. So when it click, right now you're seeing it right below, subscribe. And from then onwards, you would get that link letting you know that, and give you the notice that, hey, we are coming on, and then you can send that link to your friend. So please, please, please now, just click that subscribe. Yeah.
And
so that's my speech. So Terri-Ann, you can finish the talk a little more about the outcome of our focus group. I had to say that, that subscription. Yeah.
Yes. No, we really pulled for very, very different fans, followers, and most didn't know each other. And we asked them what did they think about us. And it was a very proud moment for Jennifer and I to hear the feedback as to how rich and how needed this program is for our 50 plus cohort, a cohort that most people either put as preparing for the afterlife and not really give a lot of content to enrich your life. It really did move us to see that we have connected and that people understood and appreciated what we were trying to do vis-a-vis bringing a better quality of life on the third act stage to all of you, all of us, the 5.8G. So it was humbling, and it was a proud moment for us, So we want to thank all of you about that. And I think, Jennifer, some of the highlights.
Yeah, I want to add something. So now that you're going to be, now you click that subscribe button, you could comment. You can also tell us how you feel, if you want us to, any difference, anything that you will make a difference. Let us know. Because we want to ensure that we enrich your lives. And when you watch this show, at the end of the show, you could say yes. I would either take action on something, or you're just feeling good about yourself just by listening to, and sharing your comments. And when other people put their comments, you could say, well, yes,
And remember
to subscribe and comment.
Yes. Remember too that one of our major aims, the major aims is building a community. And when we
Yeah.
have this conversation, and we talked about that, we use the tool of a conversation. It's not a lecture, and nothing is scripted. We have no script.
Yeah.
So this conversation is a powerful conversation. And when YouTube is live, Facebook used to be live, it's no longer live, you can join that conversation by saying in real time what you think. Jennifer moderates it, and I think with Facebook, I will start to join the conversation also. So we can have, you can join the conversation, and we can really help to build our community. So don't be afraid. I know you're there watching. Not everyone can look live, but for those of you who are on the live, feel free to tell me, Terri-Ann, you really need to tone it down a little bit. You're really a little kind of forward in that comment. That's okay. I can take that. No problem. So we really want to again thank you for understanding, and you can join the feedback, and please give us feedback, whether we make a difference in your life, whether the material that we choose, the topics we choose are relevant to you, and what else you want to hear. So we certainly will take everything on board. And again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, one last quick note, Jennifer. We want to invite everyone. So it's International Women's Day, and most of you may know in that on Saturday, it's the big rally, and Connections 50 Plus will be present. So listen, all you 5.8G 50 plus, come to the Savannah opposite TGI. They're assembling at 2:30. Look for us and join us, and let's represent.
Yes, join. It would be really nice, fun, and a way to celebrate with us,
men and women. So we'll see you on Saturday. Okay, make sure and do that right after you subscribe. Happy International.
See you next week.
Day once again, and next week we coming back with guests talking about linemen. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
50 Plus Tribe, and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.